Welcome to Shakedown here at Rally Islas Canarias, and it was Cali Rovanpera who was fastest in the Toyota, setting the pace with a 4 minutes and 10 second time through the 6.2 kilometre stage. Second place was Takamoto Katsuta in the sister Toyota, 2.5 seconds off the pace of Rovanpera. Oit Tanak and Thierry Neuville meanwhile shared the third fastest time. Tanak setting a 4:12.9, which Neuville matched on his second run. World Championship leader Elvin Evans was 5th quickest. The Welshman at home here on tarmac roads with a podium on the last 6 of his starts on this surface. Making his first start since Monte Carlo in January, Sébastien Ogier was 6th fastest, just 2/10 down on Evans, but almost 4 seconds behind Rovanpera. Fellow French driver and recently married Adrien Fourmeau was 7th, just 4/10 shy of Ogier. Sami Pajari is the driver who's done this rally most recently, back in 2021, but that was in a Rally 4 car. In a Rally 1, he was 8th fastest on Shakedown. Despite feeling not comfortable with the car to begin with, Gregoire Munster was the fastest of the M Sport Pumas, setting a 4 minutes 17.2 on the stage. Josh McElwain, on just his 4th start in the car, was 10th, 7/10 of a second behind his teammate. Now we've caught up on all the on-stage action, let's hear what the drivers had to say back in the service park. Seb, what's your impression of the stages out there on Recce and on Shakedown this morning?
I think it's beautiful, of course. I believe you have heard that from most of the drivers. It's a beautiful piece of tarmac, which stay clean, no cut. So every element are there to make an exciting race. At the same time, it's demanding, I believe. Driving on the limit on this road is not that easy. Especially when it's a first for most of us, because every little mistakes here can be very costly with, let's say, something hard on the line, like a mountain or rocks or barrier.
The change between Rally Kenya and here couldn't be extremer than what it is. It's going to be the cleanest tarmac rally we have done in our whole, I have done in my whole WRC career. I mean, even Spain, Catalonia was more cutting than here. And Kenya probably has been the roughest I will ever experience or have experienced. So the difference couldn't be any bigger, but that's exactly what WRC makes so special, and that's exactly what we drivers needed after a rough Kenya.
The stages are amazing. For sure it's going to be a nice tarmac rally which we've not had in a long time, which is fully like this. I'm not saying that I'm super happy, let's say, how the tire and everything needs to be driven. Maybe it's still not the easiest for me, but I try to do my best to manage it and try to keep them alive. It's going to be tricky on this rally.
What have you made of the stages this year out on Recce? Quite a challenging Recce, it sounds like.
Yeah, 3 demanding days. Okay, you could say Monday was a half day, but still it was a lot of work. A lot of work in the evenings because, okay, the road is 2 car widths. There's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of tourists, and trying to get to the other side of the road essentially is very difficult. And sometimes stages follow the mountain on the left, which there's gullies and drains where you want to pit a wheel, but you can't actually see what's in the wheel because there's a car there or something like that. So I think with the Ritnote crew, okay, they're checking the weather and the surfaces, etc., as they normally do, but even to get the notes correct is still important for them.
All new basically, not much use in coming out last year to do the Recce. The majority of the stages were new, but Of course, the character is quite similar, very clean, racing style stages.
Is this your best chance maybe with that first win?
Well, I think every opportunity is a good chance to get a win, but I will try to do my best in here. It's not easy. It's going to be flat out for all the drivers in here. No excuses for road position or things like that. You know, everybody have the same advantage. So, but I think it's really good. So at least we will see but for sure the one who will win here, I think we can all give a big thumb up because it's a big rally, a big tarmac event.
So that is what our drivers thought of the challenge here at Rally Islas Canarias. But for an even more of an expert opinion, David Evans.
Me? I'm not sure I can add anything. Well, of course I can't, because who am I to add anything to anything that the drivers have said? But yeah, we've done quite a recce here ourselves, Luke, and I was a little bit surprised to hear such glowing kind of commendations of the stages, if you like. Beautiful, all of that sort of stuff, because yeah, they are great and there's some incredible vistas and backdrops and it is beautiful, but my goodness, it's tricky as well. You know, there's sections of this, and we've all been there, I'm sure, that we've all driven down the back streets at home and thought, oh, imagine a Rally 1 car down here. Well, the organisers here have sort of put that into practice, and they've taken the Rally 1 cars down some incredibly narrow places where you know, there's barely a car's width to get down there. So it is going to be incredibly tricky, very, very technical. Not a huge amount of kind of grip and surface change. Tomorrow is about the most abrasive. You know, now the drivers have been here, they've had a look at the stages, they've got a vague idea of what to do with the tyres. The biggest kind of curveball that can come is the weather. Because, you know, from what we understand, there's not a huge amount of testing done on the rain tyre, the wet tyre. So I think pretty much all of the drivers are kind of hoping that they get some dry conditions. Also, you know, the issue that we can understand is from the Pirelli last year that the Hankook is generally a harder tyre. So the medium Hankook is a wee bit harder than the medium Pirelli. And of course the medium is perhaps going to be the prime tyre here. So it's difficult. If the rain comes, it could be tricky.
There are so many variables, as David has mentioned there, but I think what's also key to highlight is if we do have a dry rally, which for the broader sense we are expecting, there are the odd microclimates here and there that could affect things. If we do have those stable conditions, it should be a super tight race, because we know how competitive the drivers are, we know how even the cars are, so all the drivers are generally split by nothing on events, but then you've got surface change and road position to factor in. Here, within reason, it should all be fairly level, which means picking. He disagrees.
I disagree completely, because for me, you're right about the variables, but the one thing where we've talked about the road going off, you know, the first stage tomorrow, the first 10k or so, it's mad how narrow it is, and you could lose 15 seconds in there if you're just cautious in the first corner and you're just taking it steady and you're not committed in the places that you need to be. Off the bat, first thing, it's going to be very hard to get in the car and absolutely hurl it down those roads where you're only in sort of first and second gear, and the corners are so sharp. And so if you roll the dice and take a gamble and really push on, you could take for me, you could take quite a big margin. But equally, you know, if you're when the road comes out and it goes into the double width road, then it's harder to make a difference because there's less junctions. And you know that you're carrying about as much speed, and we know that these cars are pretty similar in terms of aero grip and performance and power and what have you. So it's in the narrow bits that I think we could see some really big differences in time.
The drivers have had to negotiate through traffic and everything while doing the recce. You may ask, why does that matter? The simple answer really is just judging the lines. They can only go through these stages twice, maximum. So depending on the luck of where a car might be, and we've seen it in the past actually, in Corsica with Elvin Evans, the car in the wrong place, he overtook the car and he
but
missed
simply,
the
you know, all right-handers, you can't take the apex.
Yeah.
You know, particularly a blind right-hander, you certainly can't, because you're on the wrong side of the road of an open road that's your public cars coming the other way.
But we've skirted around it, David. We've got 10 Rally 1 cars here. If you could pick one, just one driver, who's the favourite?
Sébastien Ogier is somebody, he's been out of the car, but he has great experience, great ability to get back into the car and be immediately on the pace, and that experience of knowing how to deal with a completely new rally, a new set of pace notes. You know, one thing that Seb's always talked about, when younger drivers are coming to events, they're looking at all of his pace notes, all of that. He's never really done that. You know, he's never been a man that studied onboards because he came into the sport earlier in his career and the facility wasn't there to do that. So all of these younger guys, you know, your Josh McAlanes and all of the other guys,
It's all they know,
it's
isn't it?
difficult now because they don't have that data bank of previous years' onboards to study. So Ogier's ready for that. So yeah, long answer short, Sebastian Ogier.
I do like the shout. I'm going to be honest, I did tease my favourite at the end of our recce interviews on Tuesday. There were a couple of comments that correctly identified it. Adrian Fomo was the driver that I kind of just had a feeling about. I'm not saying the feeling's gone away, but I've got stronger feelings for others, which sounds a bit strange. But Ogier is very hard to overlook. But I think the dark horse, and I'm being very careful not to look too much into what happened at Shakedown, but Kalle Rovanperä was seriously quick on that Shakedown stage. Yes, it's 6 kilometres, we've got 300 over the course of the rally, but he is just seeming quite relaxed.
The most important thing, the most important news that we've heard from Kalle is that he's feeling more comfortable with the tyre.
Yeah.
That's been a little bit of the issue in the first 3 rounds. But, you know, I do find it quite amusing that everybody's like, oh, Kalle, you know, he's lost interest, he's not going to win the championship, blah, blah, blah. What? He's Kalle Rovanperä. He's, you know, the coolest, most committed championship contender. He's already won 2. You know, I would never rule Kalle Rovanperä out at this point of the season. We're 3 rounds in, you know, and yeah, we've been a little bit guilty of talking about the gap in the points and what have you. But Kalle's going to be there for sure. You know, he will find a way. Crucially, he hasn't put it off.
Yep.
He hasn't been off the road. He hasn't had a 0 points. He's collected points all the way. You know, there's a lot of points on the table. And for me, you could talk about this as a sort of turnaround rally for Kalle, but I'm not sure it is because, you know, it's just Kalle been finding his feet back with the tyre. Some drivers find their, you know, comfort zone with the tyre much quicker than others. Kalle hasn't. There's reasons for that. He's getting there now, so watch him go.
Plenty of talent in WRC2 as well. I think a horde of Spanish drivers will be very quick, taking on the likes of Johan Rossell, so make sure you are staying tuned to that as well. And the only way to do that, or the best way, I should say, is via Dirtfish Rally on social media. Of course, a YouTube channel, make sure you are subscribed, and on dirtfish.com for all the news and analysis as soon as we have it. Let us know who your favourite is for the event down in the comments. It's going to be a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.